Good evening and welcome to Jacob A. Riis Neighborhood Settlements Virtual Spring Benefit. I'm Chris Hanway, Executive Director, and I'm delighted that you're able to join us for a brief but action-packed celebration of all things Riis, our history, our amazing staff, board, and community, our resilience through the pandemic, and perhaps most importantly, the incredible children, youth, families, and seniors with whom we are fortunate enough to work every single day. As I say often, we work with the communities of Western Queens. We don't do what we do for or to our participants. We work with them together, collaboratively, with their voices leading and our incredible staff implementing. Tonight, you'll have the opportunity to meet some of our inspiring community members. You'll meet and join us in honoring one of our longest serving and dedicated board members. You'll celebrate our inspiring staff who have battled and excelled through the pandemic, learn a bit more about our long and proud connection to Denmark, birthplace of Jacob Riis, and see a breathtaking dance performance from one of our newest board members, all in 35 minutes. So fasten your seatbelts and enjoy. And remember, we can't do this vital work without your continued support. If you are able and the spirit moves you, please use the Donate Now button in the corner of your screen or the QR code at the bottom of your screen to make a contribution that will allow Riis to continue to be a catalyst for change. And speaking of fostering change, before we move on, I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors this evening: Fidelis Care, Amazon, the Consulate General of Denmark, and our friends at TF Cornerstone. And now, to introduce our first honoree, I'd like to turn it over to our board chair, David Klur, a terrific partner with whom I'm honored to work every day. David?
Thank you, Chris, and welcome to everyone who's joined us tonight. It's with great pleasure that I introduce our first honoree, Riis board member, Jerry Crisci. In just a moment, you'll hear more about Jerry and his 4 decades-long history with resettlement as he accepts his award by video. But first, I'd like to tell you a little bit about Jerry, the person. Jerry is a storyteller. He never misses an opportunity to share a story about his family, his experience as an immigrant to this country, his long history with resettlement, and of course, his restaurant, Armando's in Jackson Heights, and his love of good food and wine. Jerry is also extremely caring. He loves to hear about people, how they're doing, where they're from, and where they're going. At board meetings, Jerry's insightful questions and thoughtful comments are always through the lens of what's best for the people of Riis, the people in the community, Riis's program staff, and our volunteers. And finally, Jerry has a passion for service. From his work with Riis back when he was in college to his board service today, Jerry is always looking for ways to give back. He's run many benefit events, from Broadway plays to jazz at Lincoln Center. He's also famous for his annual cabaret night at his restaurant, where he brings in amazing talent from across the city, with all proceeds, of course, going to support Riis programs. His passion for service can be an inspiration for each of us to find ways to give back ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to award this year's Legacy Award to Jerry Crisci.
Thank you, David, for those kind words. My family and I came to America on the last successful voyage of the Andrew Doria in January 1956. That same year, that beautiful ship was hit by another ship and sank off the coast of Nantucket. We settled in Long Island City and started the American dream. Father, mother, and 4 children under the age of 14 worked and supported the family. To whom much is given, much is expected. When this comes to mind, I always think of the longest executive director of Jacob Riis Settlement House, Bob Miner. For over 45 years, he gave back to the community and any families who needed help. He is now 99 years old and doing well. I first met Bob in Long Island City next to our house when he was having his car repaired. He had been in the Army Air Corps during World War II, dropping bombs on southern Italy. My father, who was admiring Bob's car, had been in the Italian Army trying to shoot down the American planes. Remarkably, these two became friends. As this friendship grew, Bob learned that I was not doing well in school and had no interest in my education. Bob stepped in. I not only finished Long Island City High School, but became the first in my family to go to college in Colorado. During those years, I worked for the Riis Settlement House as a summer day camp counselor. We made trips to Jones Beach, Coney Island, and introduced these young kids to museums like the Museum of Natural History and the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Running the day camp and working with young people helped me become a school teacher. By 1970, I graduated, and that same year married Patty, my wife, for 50 years. After teaching for a few years, Patty and I decided to borrow some money and bought a restaurant in Jackson Heights, Amando's Italian restaurant. It was during this time that we started giving back. Who to give back to? It was a no-brainer. Jacob Riis Settlement House, of course. We did catering for Riis fundraisers. We gave Thanksgiving dinners to the community, and cabaret nights at our restaurant were where all proceeds went to Riis House. Patty and I have 3 children, graduates of Duke University, Michelle, age 47, Columbia University, Nicole, age 46, and Tulane University, Joseph, age 40, as well as 6 grandchildren. Our son tutored children at the Settlement House, and our daughter Nicole served on the board of directors. Giving back is the legacy of Jacob Riis. After coming to America and living in poverty, he began to expose the poverty of others by photographing their misery and helping to start the Settlement House. One of his good friends, Teddy Roosevelt, the first police commissioner of New York City, wrote a note to Riis after reading his book, How the Other Half Lives. He said, "I have read your book and I have come to help. Let's all give back. Let's all help." Thank you.
Riis Settlement has a 130-year history of helping New Yorkers achieve their goals and become self-sufficient, with programs for immigrants, youth, and seniors. Now, this past year has challenged all of us to find new ways to stay connected with each other. While the buildings remained closed and many in-person events had to be canceled, the program staff at Riis have done an amazing job to quickly adapt using technology and plenty of creativity. In fact, tonight's event, the first time we've done this virtually, has allowed us to reach out to many of you who might not normally be able to attend our in-person events. So let's hear directly from the program staff, the participants, about how Riis has risen to the challenge to continue its essential work.
Jacob Riis Settlement House is a vital, and I can't stress enough, vital entity in our community for over 132 years. I had my first date here at Jacob Riis. I had my first kiss on the stage. We had movies in here. We roller skated. There was talent shows. So many things happened. It's like the center of our world. But due to COVID, you know, they had to stop that for a while. And a lot of our family members, seniors, especially our young youth, are suffering because they can't come to Jacob Riis like it was open before. And that's really a tragedy. We love our community center. Again, we'd be lost if we didn't have it.
Jacob A. Riis was a journalist and social reformer who came to New York from Denmark as an immigrant. And he lived on the Lower East Side in extreme poverty for the first few years, as many, many immigrants to New York did at the time. And he really developed an understanding of what the immigrant experience was all about. And he began to photograph it. Riis Settlement was founded by a group of women on the Lower East Side called the King's Daughters. They were Episcopal church women, and they wanted to help these same immigrant populations who were struggling. And Jacob Riis became aware of this. He began photographing it, and he developed a long relationship with the King's Daughters, which later became the King's Daughters Settlement House. and then which later was renamed Jacob A. Riis Neighborhood Settlement House because of the role he played in founding it. It started on Madison Street on the Lower East Side, and over the years began to branch out and do more and more work in the outer boroughs, and since 1950 has been solely serving the residents of Western Queens, thus its place here in the Queensbridge houses.
That first week of March 2020, we scrambled that week. It might have been the busiest week of my life, and we decided to use Zoom. We started sending out these emails, and we managed to get tiny little portions of the classes that were up. We got them going, and each semester we've kind of improved the process of doing these online classes, and now we have it down to a science.
The beginners, the students are going to talk about their countries and their culture.
My name is Pedro Perez.
My name is Maria Marrero.
We are from the Dominican Republic.
My name is Mervat Magar. I am from Egypt.
Resettlement serves new New Yorkers from around the world through English language classes, through legal services, civics classes, civic engagement activities, free legal services, as well as case management to help folks navigate their new lives in New York City.
Language can be a real barrier for people. You can get along okay without English, but you can get a better job with more English. You can help your kids out in school. You can learn all the nuances of life here. And that's what we hope to do with our students.
We hold the 4 winners bicycles.
The English class will change my life. Here to help more people learn English so that we have the confidence to face the future life.
We also serve children and youth through our after-school programs, summer camps, and youth employment programs.
I don't have to worry about what my kids are doing when I'm still working. And not only that, when I'm taking them out early from Riis after school, because maybe I want to go home, my girls don't want to go. They're mad at me for picking them up early, which tells me that they're engaged in something in after school.
So when you come into the community center, you get welcomed. Of course, now we have to do health screenings, so the program is a little bit different. It's not like it was before, but it still is a place to come to grow.
Can you guess what it was before? A bottle. It was a bottle, a water bottle.
During the pandemic, we really had to alter a lot of our programming. The vast majority of our programming became virtual, but we also had to make that technology available to the populations that we serve. A lot of folks in our communities don't have access to broadband, don't have access to laptops, so we had to partner with philanthropic partners, with our government partners, and get these technologies to the folks who needed them most so that our services could continue.
I'm so proud of you.
We also have a teen program, which we service high school students, and we work with them academically, work with them in youth development, social emotional learning. This is a safe place for them within our community.
It helped me a lot. It helped me with graduating high school, and it helped me with getting into the college I wanted to go to.
It makes me feel nice that someone's there to help me through the difficult term.
It also helped me with experiencing things like going to Denmark, and it was a lot of great experiences with Riis.
The most gratifying experience, a part of the job, is to actually see the students flourish and achieve their goals. Because most of our students come from different backgrounds and are at-risk youth. So with the program, we give them a sense of support to get them to pass their classes, improve their grades, prepare for SATs, find a new source of confidence to believe in themselves in order to achieve their goals.
And the ultimate goal is to make sure that kids that are disadvantaged economically are able to find their way to college and or employment.
Kelly, tell us about college real quick.
And I've committed to Brook.
I committed to Farmingdale State College.
I committed to City Tech. And I committed to Queensborough Community College. At first it was stressful, but then I realized it's like...
I've been here all my life. I played in this center, my kids went here, they babysitted my kids, I know them. So she said, why don't you join the senior center? So I said, senior? I forgot I was 60, you know? And she said, join the center, and I just came in here, and I felt this is where I was supposed to be. if we didn't have Jacob Riis continuing even during COVID and partnering with the Tenant Association, with other entities, so that they continue services during COVID, but at a safe, practical manner.
Hi everyone, welcome to Bingo at the Virtual Senior Center.
I-18, I-18, B7. Bingo.
The bingo was fun because we did that every other day or so. And that was such a joy for us, just sitting there saying bingo.
I know the children have their programs and, seniors have their program, but it's just good for the community, period. I mean, it's a wonderful thing for seniors.
Today, Jacob Riis, again, feeds the seniors breakfast, lunch, and even a meal to take home for dinner.
The food distribution was one of the greatest things I think I ever did. Really, I really feel like that.
They have an art class, they have a photography class, they have all of that going on. Tai Chi was here, I was in part of that too.
And we get so much information, and there's so much to learn and so much, that they're teaching us that you never knew before.
Because of the pandemic, well, things have changed, that's for sure.
But everybody's just great. It seems like everybody's happy. We see each other once a week. We do the virtual, and I'm in so many. I see all of them all the time.
Our hope for the future of Riis is that we continue to be able to thrive, pivot, and adapt, and that some of the services that we provide now actually become obsolete.
This is an active, vital entity in our community that is much needed. And I pray, they continue to do the wonderful work they've been doing.
Wow, I hope you all enjoyed that closer look at Riis and our embedded role in the community, an embeddedness that is part of the long and proud Settlement House tradition. Now it's my turn to introduce our second honoree, in this case, group of honorees, some of whom you just met in our video. When it came time to choose our second honoree for tonight's event, we really wanted to focus on those who rose above incredible challenges in service to the community during the pandemic. And it didn't take us very long to realize that as an organization, we have dozens of such individuals among us. The staff at Riis Settlement are heroes. During this pandemic, they lost loved ones, cared for their children, siblings, parents, grandparents, and extended families to keep them safe and well, and in some cases battled the virus themselves, all while adapting to a new reality, a virtual world filled with uncertainty and loss, and rising above it to conduct virtual classes, run online after-school programs, check in on seniors and reassure them with warm conversation, distribute food and protective equipment, arrange for vital services for our participants, arrange emergency funds for critical needs, continue to provide legal services for immigrants, educate the community about the census, coronavirus protection, and the importance of voting, and provide vital logistical support while we opened our facilities for coronavirus testing and as vaccination pop-up sites. So it is in that spirit that I am proud to present the Riis Community Builder Award to our dedicated staff. Now, I wish we could present a crystal statue or a cash prize to each of our winners, but with a staff of well over 100, that just wouldn't be practical or possible. What we are doing instead is raffling off 5 amazing prizes at our next all-staff meeting so that everyone has a chance to win. From my perspective, however, the most important benefit is our heartfelt thanks. To the Riis staff, I say thank you. We couldn't have done it without you. Take a look at this.
Hi everyone, my name is Alexis Babington. I am the Compass Program Director located at PS 111Q. And I actually became a director the second week of the pandemic. Along with myself transitioning into this role, the Youth Services Department transitioned from an in-person program to a virtual one. Virtual programming included lesson plans via Google Classroom, live instruction via Zoom, and check-in phone calls. During our check-in phone calls, we inquired with our families on what services we can provide. These services often included either internet connectivity or a listening ear. We distributed food once a week, which gave us a chance to actually see our scholars during that time. Once again, it is an honor to accept this award on behalf of the Youth Services Department, but of course I have to give a special shout out to our Youth Services programs located at either PS 166, PS 111, Ravenswood, Cornerstone, Queensbridge, and our sister sites Infotech 171 and 76. But last but not least, we can all give a special shout out to our Director of Youth Services, Ms. Desiree Lewis. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Sophie Simon and I'm the Director of Immigrant Services at Riis Settlement. I'm honored and so proud to accept this award on behalf of our staff to recognize their amazing work and commitment over the last year to serving our community. As you all know, the last year has been very difficult for both staff and community members. The COVID-19 crisis has devastated communities across Queens, especially our immigrant communities. And in response, our staff have really stepped up to support immigrant workers, parents, and families by making sure that our programs continue to reach those most in need. Within our Immigrant Services program, our adult education staff, including our amazing administration and teachers, have been incredibly dedicated, flexible, and inspiring. They've moved our 15 English and citizenship classes online so that hundreds of students can continue to improve their English from home. And not only have our staff provided classes, but they've helped create a sense of connection and community during this time of isolation. In addition, our support services staff, including our legal services team and case management team, have really responded to the need for critical services and have provided information and assistance telephonically and virtually. They ensured that community members could still get access to critical legal assistance and get connected to highly needed resources, including food assistance, housing, unemployment benefits, and emergency cash grants. Staff in our Immigrant Services Department and across Riis Settlement have truly worked as a team during this time to provide relief to our communities. And I'm grateful for this recognition for the work that they've done and that they continue to do. Thank you very much.
Good evening. I am Calvin Nash, one of the more recent additions to the Jacob A. Riis Neighborhood Settlement Board and the fundraising committee chair for tonight's festivities. This virtual benefit could not have been made possible without the effort of our fundraising committee, Amanda, Lauren, Sybil, our honoree Jerry, Bob, Fleming, and of course the Swiss Army knives that are Chris and David, with special help from our friend Paul. I thank you. I think I can speak for all the people involved with Riis in saying that there's a common spirit that ties us all together, a spirit of action. To modify and paraphrase an excerpt from the great author activist James Baldwin, I can believe what resettlement says because I can see what resettlement does. The impact video you saw is just one example of that. The economic fallout from the pandemic has put pressure on nonprofits across the country, making it difficult for purpose-driven, action-oriented groups like Riis from serving their communities to the fullest extent of their potential. So now, more than ever, we ask that you join our existing sponsors and donors by being that catalyst for change. Please use the Donate Now button in the corner of your screen or the QR code at the bottom of your screen to make a contribution, whatever amount is in your heart, to assist Riis in continuing to fortify our Queens community. I thank you for that. It is now my honor to introduce the next two people from our program. Fleming Heilman, Chairman Emeritus for Riis, an internationally acclaimed speaker, author, and businessman, and someone who, along with his son Niels, helped awaken in me a spirit of giving, responsibility, and compassion. Fleming will be followed by an exhilarating performance from our newest board member, Esk Lacour, whose career has spanned the Royal Danish Ballet and most recently has taken him to the heights of being a principal dancer with the New York City Ballet. Thank you, and now we'll hear from Fleming and enjoy the show from Ask.
Good evening. I hope you're having a great evening. I've been asked to tell you a little bit about the value and the joy of the Danish connection between Riis settlement in Western Queens and Ribe, the birthplace of Jacob Riis in Denmark, an ancient town that was founded in 800 AD. When I had the privilege of joining your board in the mid-90s, we also had the great honor of having Princess Benedicta become our patron. And that, of course, thrilled me as a Dane. And I wanted, with Bill Newland, who was executive director at the time, to build on this connection with Denmark. And we did that various ways. The princess, as patron, visited us on numerous occasions and was always so gracious and so captivating and so engaged with our participants. It was a wonderful building block. And then we also built connections with the Danish diaspora in the greater New York area, and they have consequently been very, very supportive of the settlement. And finally, Bill Newland and I explored the idea, and eventually we were able to establish a cultural exchange with the youth of Ribe Cathedral School in Denmark and our youth in Western Queens at the Riis settlement. That exchange program lives on today. It was interrupted by COVID, but every other year, 6 of our people go to Denmark and live with Danish families in Ribe, Riis's birthplace, and every other year, 6 come here. And that has been a joy and a great cultural asset. Have a great evening.
Wow, that was a beautiful, haunting piece, and one that features our beautiful New York City, a city that is finally on the rebound. And that actually brings tonight's festivities to a close. Before we go, I'd like to remind you that it's still not too late to make a contribution. And I'd once again like to thank our sponsors, Fidelis Care, Amazon, the Consulate General of Denmark, and TF Cornerstone. I'd like to thank our incredible board members, many of whom are on with us tonight, especially Board Chair David Klur, Development Committee Chair Calvin Nash, and our amazing honoree, David Crisci. And I really need to take a moment to give a special shout out to Amanda McHenry, our Director of Development and Communications, not only one of the nicest people you will ever meet, but the person who put this wonderful event together. And of course, to all of you for joining us for this evening's celebration. You have our gratitude. Good night, and we hope to see you in person soon.